Let's talk about what is happening in Soledar and why this is so strategically important to the Russian offensive.
Yeah, Sarah Jane, let's just talk about the importance of it, first of all. If the Russians take Soledar, then it puts more pressure on Bakhmut, which they want to take, and it would give them some control over the supply from Slavyansk to Bakhmut. You can see the road there, Bakhmut's being supplied fairly easily down that road from Slavyansk. If the Russians are able to take Soledar, they can interfere with those supplies, and it would mean that the Ukrainians would then have to supply Bakhmut much further south through Kramatorsk and so on. In themselves, Soledar is not a very important place. It's a base of the biggest salt mine in Europe. Bakhmut is not a especially important place. Slavyansk and Kramatorsk are genuinely strategically important. Now, the Russians say that they have surrounded Soledar. They haven't. They're to the north and the south, but they may get to surround it. The 46th Air Mobile Brigade, the Ukrainian 46, who are very good, they're in Soledar at the moment. They won't be rolled over, but if they're about to be surrounded, they will have to withdraw. So it's entirely plausible that the Russians might actually be able to surround the town. But at the moment, they're in 3 of the 4 salt mines. They've actually got some stuff underground. They are not in the urban areas. They're at the edge of them, and they're north and south, and they've got the high ground to the south, which is quite important. So, we might say the Russians are likely to surround Soledar, and the 46th Air Mobile may have to move out, but that will resolve itself in the next few days.
Can we talk weapons? We've heard in recent days about the UK supplying Ukraine potentially with British tanks for the first time. That's not been confirmed by the government yet. No deal has been signed, but it is in the offing. What would that mean?
Yeah, I mean, this is everybody in the West thinking about the next phase of the fighting. And if the Ukrainians are to continue to be successful, they need heavier weapons. And the best tanks in the world is the American Abrams tank, the Leopard 2 tank, the German tank, and the Challenger 2, the British tank. And so the British are saying, Challenger 2 is there on the left, the British are saying that maybe, they're hinting, they may give 12, one squadron's worth, which actually is sitting in Estonia. There is a squadron of Challenger 2s in Estonia. They may give 12 tanks to the Ukrainians. Now, 12 tanks, even Challenger 2s, won't make that much difference. What the Ukrainians really want is the Leopard 2. And the Leopard 2 are operated by 13 different countries in Europe. There are lots of them around, lots of spares, lots of ammunition. Challenger is very specific. It's got its own ammunition. The Germans won't give Leopard 2s because they fear escalation. And so far, they will not license anybody else giving their Leopard 2s to Ukraine because they hold the license to Finland and Poland. It will probably be resolved at Ramstein or just around the Ramstein meeting, which is on the 20th of January, a week on Friday. And this British gesture, it is only a military gesture, but it's an attempt, I think, to release the logjam and persuade Chancellor Scholz of Germany, at least to allow the licensed countries like Poland and Finland to give their Leopard 2s. And ultimately, when the Ukrainians have got 150 Leopard 2s, then they really would have the ability to stop in its tracks the Russian offensive, which we know will come in the spring.
Yeah, it's a gesture, but it could be the start of something, as you say, particularly if Ukraine have German tanks in their mind. Can we just talk about what that would mean in terms of how would that be received by the Kremlin? Because at the start of this war, there was a lot of talk about when Ukraine asked the West for weapons, the West were very clear that they would only provide defensive weapons, because anything that would put Ukraine at an advantage on the offence would not be taken well by the Kremlin, and that could be a massive escalation, and Putin has been very clear about what that would mean. Where does this feed into that?
Yeah, it's another escalation. I mean, we've been crossing thresholds from the very beginning of the war. Every time we establish a threshold, we cross it because of Russian behaviour, Russian war crimes. And the fact that Putin is saying this war will go on for years. I will do whatever it takes. I don't care if I wreck the Russian economy. I will not lose this war. And so he's making it clear that this will just go on. So it poses this existential issue for the West. The security in Europe has changed fundamentally. And for Western Europe and the United States, there is no getting away from this. There's no hiding from it. There's no turning back. It is more dangerous, and this year will be a much more dangerous year than last year. But if we don't do it, the point is that giving in to Putin, appeasing Putin, is more dangerous than opposing Putin. And this is the next threshold. We are about to cross it. And after this, we'll cross the threshold, I'm sure, of giving modern fighter weapons and more modern aircraft to the Ukrainians. I mean, this war will get more dangerous yet. But we still got to contain those dangers even as we embrace them.